Happy October. So October is my favorite month of the year, and I think one of the things that we can do to make it super special is to build a flower arrangement inside a pumpkin. So in terms of how to do it, it's pretty straightforward. It looks more complicated than it is, okay? So what we have is we have a pumpkin with, I've cleaned the inside out and I've cut a hole inside the pumpkin. And basically I measured that based on the size of the vase. So I literally just drew a circle around the base of the vase and then cut around that circle and then cleaned the inside of the pumpkin out. And then I put 3/4 of the way, I filled the vase like 3/4 of the way full with cold water. And that is all you need to do. So in terms of what we have in this box, I wanted to design something that was really seasonal, that had a lot of contrasting color tones to it, but also an arrangement that's really resilient, that's going to last for a good amount of time. And just as a reference point, like I built this one on Monday. I've had it outside my house in the heat all week and it still looks great. So providing you change the water every couple of days, this will last a really good amount of time. So we've got the feather acacia, which is this one. We've got some of Nathan's leucadendron. He's our grower up in Monterey County that we get the proteas from. We've got some of these Carpe Diem roses that are really cool. They've got this like orange color tone to them. We have some chrysanthemums that are pretty consistent, you know, these, but are really nice like caramel color. Marigolds. So actually this will be the last week of the season for marigolds. They're actually blooming. They normally end until the end of October to align with the Day of the Dead. But the reality is because it's been so hot, they're all being cut now. So I thought it the best way to make use of them, so it will be their last marigold box of the year. And then we also have some Hypericum berry, and then this one is eucalyptus pod. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to put our vase inside the pumpkin, like that, simple. And then what we're going to do is you have a couple of pieces of the silver blade acacia. Don't keep them too long. You actually want to have them relatively short. And then you just want to put one on the right side and then another piece on the left side. And just strip any greenery that will fall into the water like that. And I had like another little piece attached to that one that I'm just going to cut and put in too, like that. So we're going to add the marigolds first because they're our focal flower. So a few things about these. You'll notice they'll have some greenery at the top, but the stems lower down are pretty clean on marigolds. If there are any stray leaves, like they're pretty low, those ones, I'm just going to pull them off just to clean them up a little bit. And then essentially what you want to do with these is you just want to cut them down and then tuck them inside the nest of the silver blade acacia. So just going to add them in like that. Ta-da! So our second focal flower of the roses. So with these, I probably would suggest pulling the leaves off the stem just to keep them clean. And then the outer petals on the roses are their protective petals, so they protect them from infections. So just pull those off. There's normally 2 of those. Any that are curling around the edges, they're their protective petals. Can you see on this one? I have one here and I have one there. And then you can blow. See how petal rich they are? And they really open up a lot, these, so they're really beautiful roses. And basically what you're doing is you're just cutting them down and putting them in between the marigolds. So 1, 2, 3, like that. So the secondary flowers that we have in the box are the chrysanthemums. And you might have them like this, or you might have the same color tone but with lots of smaller heads. It's just right now, it depends on the weather as to which variety we're going to get. So I'm just going to pre-warn you about that. But you want to do the same thing. So just strip the leaves off the stems of these. And then what you're doing with them, they are secondary flowers. So the idea is you're going to cut them down and then just use them to fill in space. So we're just putting them anywhere you can see a gap you want to put in your chrysanthemums. I'm gonna put one there, and one over here, like so. A few textural elements. The Hypericum berry is one, so just strip the leaves off that piece. And then I think it's nice to kind of nestle this in the middle of the arrangement. So you can start to see how we're kind of introducing these like autumnal berry elements to kind of bring like a really fall color palette to the design. Two elements left. We have the leucadendron, and then we have the eucalyptus pods too, which are these ones here. So with the eucadendron, start with this one first. Just strip off the leaves, really easy to do. It's actually quite therapeutic. Just hold at the top and run your hand all the way down. You'll have 4 or 5 pieces of these, depending on how big they are. And then really, again, they add texture, but they also help to fill in the gaps. So it's nice to put them around the outside of the arrangement to help create a little bit of shape. So I'm gonna put one there. I can put one here too. But you can also just cut them down and then put them in the middle of the arrangement just to fill in any holes. Like, looks really pretty, that one there. So really, you can put them wherever you want. They just bring a great element of texture, and these obviously will last you for a really long time too. So these are actually eucalyptus pods. They're so unusual, but the leaves, actually, these have obviously been cut before they've turned into leaves, but the leaves would come out of these little pods. They don't have any fragrance to them, but they have this great texture. So what I like to do with these, I think it's nice to cut them down and use them to perhaps sit kind of at the front of the arrangement, so they rest like a little bit above the nape of the vase and almost like sit as a little bit of a decorative element on the top of the pumpkin. I think they look really pretty. They're almost to kind of mark an opening and a front to the arrangement like that. And there we have it, the perfect fall arrangement for October.